Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to this episode of the Ending Body Burnout Show. We're super excited to share this Connect the Dots episode with you all. In this Connect the Dots episode, we are going to take a listener's case. We're going to put on our detective hats and we're going to connect the dots of this listener's health symptoms. We're going to try and identify potential body, mind, environment root causes, and we'll suggest some potential lab tests, all that sort of stuff. That might be able to be useful to confirm some imbalances.
Yeah, so big thank you to Michelle, one of our listeners, for sending her case in today to allow us to investigate this on the podcast. So she is a wife to a FIFO. That stands for fly in, fly out, hey?
Yeah.
Okay, just for anyone who might not know the acronym. She's exhausted, brain foggy. She's struggling with an autoimmune condition called Lichen Sclerosis. It's quite a rare condition. Essentially, the immune system attacks cells in the vaginal and sometimes the rectal area. She also has zero motivation to do much about it because of the tiredness factor. So we are going to dig into all of that today. If you'd like your own case reviewed on a Connect the Dots episode, so this is a type of episode that we do as people submit their cases in, you're welcome to go down to the show notes and click the application form, and then you can send us your case. Or if you want to start your journey for real by booking in for a Connect the Dots initial consult, my calendar is open at the moment. It's not always open. So this is the first step in our Ending Body Burnout method, is to catch up for a Connect the Dots initial consult, review the case similar to the way that we're doing it in this podcast today. And from there, I'm usually suggesting lab testing and next steps. So if you want to physically work with us in person or via Zoom, then you can jump down to the show notes and you can book a time for a Connect the Dots. Okay, so before we jump into today's case, because we are using a real person's case, we just want to make it known that this is only for informational, educational purposes only. So this does not replace having an official consult with us or with your medical doctor or a practitioner. So what we discussed today is coming from a place of advice giving. We've really only got limited information that was given to us in the form. So there will be a lot of missing bits of information that we don't know about. So this really is more just for educational purposes, to get your mind thinking about different ways that you can approach your health issues using our unique method, which is the Ending Body Burnout method. Okay, so let's dive into today's case. So the biggest body burnout symptoms that this listener is struggling with, and I might read this through her words. So she says, in general, I'm very tired all of the time, no matter what I do. I have zero motivation to actually do much about it because I feel like I've tried it all. Also brain fog, and I have a general feeling of things just being too hard. I suspect I might have ADHD, but it could just be the fact that I'm so depleted and I feel horrible. I also have a condition called Lichen Sclerosis, which is an autoimmune condition that causes patchy, discolored, thin, cracked skin. It can look a little bit like eczema, and it's usually located in the genital or anal areas. And she said, I've been trying to manage this autoimmune condition myself as I don't want to see a regular specialist knowing that they will just prescribe steroids. Okay, so that's kind of like big picture overview in terms of what this dear woman is currently struggling with. I always like to get an indication of when the symptoms started as well. So, what was happening around the time of the health issues flaring up, or leading up to the onset of the health issues, and also what the person has tried so far. So here's what the listener said. So the onset, she said, I've been feeling the worst I have in the last 6 months, but I'd say a lot of it was after my second child 4 years ago. I have a lot of stress with my husband working FIFO. I am by myself 1 week on, 1 week off with the kids, and it's kind of crept up on me. I think by it's kind of crept up on me, she's talking about the exhaustion, the brain fog, the depletion, possibly even the flare-up of the lichen sclerosis as well. So the things that she's tried so far, and the language earlier that I read out when I was talking about her symptoms, she said, I feel like I can't be bothered doing anything else. I've already tried it all. And this is always a really interesting piece of data, because then I'm like, oh, okay, you've tried it all. What does that look like for you? And when I, having, knowing a lot around the things to try, when we actually dig into what it looks like in terms of they've tried it all, there's actually not a lot that has been tried. Or there has been things that have been tried. And that feeling of, oh, I can't be bothered, I've tried it all, often comes not from I've literally exhausted all my options, and more so from a feeling of doneness, exhaustion, maybe even hopelessness. Oh, like I can't be bothered trying another thing. So therefore, the language that one uses is like, I've tried it all. There's nothing else. And so that can feel better for the person. But I'm just kind of like calling that out because it's very rare that someone has tried all the things. So the things that this woman has tried so far, she said she's used Juice Plus, fruit and veggie capsules, and they worked a treat, but she stopped using them. She's also tried changing my diet and prioritizing protein and fruits and vegetables, and also reduce less foods. So currently, it sounds like the things that she has tried has been a few supplements and some dietary changes. And it's also interesting that the supplements she was taking was working, but she just stopped using them. So this feels like this isn't just a case of I need to take the thing and then all is well. There's some deeper metaphysical things happening here that is preventing this person to be able to sustainably continue working on healing and health. It's almost like there's this block of potential sabotage, and we'll get into that very soon. Okay, so there's 2 causes of body burnout. And in our ending body burnout method, we look at both the physical and the metaphysical stresses or inflammatories. So you can't separate the two. Another way of saying that is body and mind. You cannot separate the two. They're both so interconnected that if you only try and look at, identify, support one area but not the other, it often leads to not great results, maybe no results at all, or it might help for a bit, but then at some point things unravel again. So it's never one or the other. It's one and the other. Which also is why I believe this listener hasn't resolved her health issues yet. So she said she's tried a bunch of things, even the supplements were helping, but then she stopped taking them. So it's like, okay, cool. So the physical stuff was helping, but there's some metaphysical inflammatories, stressors, which really looks at deeper beliefs about self, stories you're telling yourself, distressing events from the past that are stuck in the unconscious mind. This is a big missing piece. So let's dive into the physical first. So you can't have symptoms without there being some sort of body system burnout or imbalance. So let's look at the body systems first. And I'm going to look at the body systems with the focus on, first of all, building up energy and motivation, because it's very hard to get into like a healing routine if you're exhausted and have zero motivation. So my focus would be, if this person was a real client, I'd be like, okay, cool. Highest priority is there anything physical going on that we can help troubleshoot, support, create a bit of spark in, so that you're starting to get more energy, more motivation to do the real deep root cause work. So I'm going to talk about that, but then I'll also dig into body systems that are often connected with autoimmune conditions. So the three body systems, or the core body systems that we look at, are the neuroendocrine system, the gastrointestinal system, and the detoxification system. So let's talk about the brain. This makes up the neuroendocrine system. So when someone is presenting with really low motivation, brain fog, exhaustion, especially if it's mental fatigue, and you can differentiate that. So mental fatigue often shows up when it's like, I can't be bothered, I have low motivation, I procrastinate all the time, I know what I should be doing, but I just can't. That's more mental fatigue, or like low mood, depression. Whereas physical fatigue is more shows up if you go for a walk around the block and you feel more tired rather than energized, or your body feels very heavy and like you just need to close your eyes and go to sleep. So from the little bits and pieces that I know about this case, I'd definitely be looking at the brain, and specifically dopamine. So there's a beautiful neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is all about so when you've got good amounts of this, you feel motivated and good and excited, and there's joy and mental clarity, and mental energy, and also physical energy. So all of these things sound like they're quite depleted in this woman. So I'd definitely be looking at testing the brain. Also, she mentioned the ADHD symptoms. So sometimes someone can have a true neurodivergent brain, and while other people might have tick off a bunch of ADHD symptoms, but it's actually more imbalances in the body, unprocessed trauma, dysfunctional beliefs about self. If it is ADHD, dopamine can be a neurotransmitter that, if it is supported, can help people with an ADHD brain function better. So I'd be thinking about that. Another body system I'd be thinking about are the adrenal glands. So if the adrenals if you've been running chronic stress for a long time, and it sounds like this woman has had at least 4 years of feeling like she's a single parent, doing it all, exhausted, brain foggy, overwhelmed, the adrenals get a pummel. And so you produce a lot of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and over time your body can only produce so much. So the cortisol levels actually start to deplete at some point, and then you start showing up with more and more symptoms, and it can definitely show up as overwhelm, stress, brain fog, exhaustion. And there can also be a connection with autoimmunity as well. So if your body is stuck in fight flight because you're in adrenal fatigue, then your nervous system and immune system are constantly looking for danger. So it's like, where is it? We're stressed out. There's something bad going on. The nervous system is wired, freaking out. But then the immune system can get wired at the same time. And that's where the immune system can actually start targeting and attacking healthy cells. So for example, it could show up for this woman as lichen sclerosis if the body feels like it's under stress, in danger, and the immune system is unresourcefully, misdirectionally attacking healthy cells. Also, along with the lichen sclerosis and, any type of autoimmune condition, I'm always thinking about gut health. So is there something imbalanced in the gut or something nasty overgrowing that is causing stress to the body? So if you have things like parasites, candida, bacterial pathogens, all these little pathogens are producing toxic metabolites, which is very stressful to the gut and to the rest of the body. From an autoimmune perspective, this is where your immune system can get confused as well. So it's like, oh, there are bad things happening in the body. It's trying to kill off nasty stuff, but again, it can become very dysfunctional and confused and start attacking healthy cells. Things like leaky gut. So that's where the gut lining can start separating, and you can have pathogens, toxins, food particles enter the bloodstream, which can be very dysfunctional, and your immune system can, it creates antibodies to try and fight off foreign particles in the bloodstream. And that, again, leaky gut can be quite a common link with an autoimmune condition. And also the microbiome. So the beneficial microbiome is really important for healthy gut, also healthy vaginal microbiome. So if there's dysbiosis happening in the gut and also in the vaginal microbiome, it can mean that it can create this weak spot in the vagina, which can then show up as lichen sclerosis. And there's some studies around Lactobacillus species, which is a really important beneficial bacteria, being linked to lichen sclerosis. I actually had a client, this is quite a few years ago, who had this condition. And, we did the lab tests, similar ones to what I'm talking about today, or looking at different body systems. And it was very interesting. When we got to the gut section, we killed off the bad bugs. I think she had candida and maybe parasites. And not a lot changed with the lichen sclerosis until we started supporting the beneficial bacteria. And that was just her gut health. We didn't do anything vaginally, but it was just gut. And she had a noticeable improvement with the lichen sclerosis when we came to restoring the good bacteria. So that was pretty mind-blowing. But, it's what the research is saying as well. Also with the gut, so if there's imbalances happening in the gut, then it can affect more of these mental emotional issues too. So the exhaustion, the low motivation, the brain fog, because you have this beautiful nerve called the vagus nerve that runs from your brain down to your gut. And if the gut is inflamed, then it can send signals up through this nerve to the brain that essentially says, I'm not safe. We're not safe. There's something dangerous happening down here. And being in this state is exhausting. So your body gets stuck in the sympathetic nervous system first and foremost, and that's fight flight. But after being here for too long, the body will drop down into a branch of the parasympathetic nervous system. Not the, like when we hear about parasympathetic nervous system, we often think about the lovely rest and digest and the safety branch of the nervous system. But there's also a part of the parasympathetic nervous system called the dorsal vagal branch that is the shutdown, immobilized branch. So when you've been stuck in this sympathetic fight flight for too long, stress, overwhelm, as a safety mechanism, as protection, the nervous system can actually drop down into this dorsal vagal branch and you feel like you shut down. You do become immobilized. So everything in your body in terms of the functioning slows down, which can show up as health issues. But mentally, emotionally as well, you feel shut down. There's zero motivation, so exhausted. So yeah, I would definitely be thinking about that side of things as well. The last body system, very quickly before we move over to the metaphysical side of things, is your detox pathways. So if there's a high toxin load in the body, or the body's finding it difficult to clear toxins from the body, then this is another source of stress and inflammation, telling the body that I'm not safe. So it can both affect mental health and energy, because it can drop you down into that dorsal vagal branch of the nervous system. But also the I'm not safe, there's danger, something bad is happening here, wires up the nervous system and the immune system, and those toxins that can get stuck in the fat tissues and in the body can end up being another source of dysfunction to the immune system. So the immune system tries to attack those or to get rid of them, but things aren't shifting. So the immune system gets confused and starts to attack healthy cells and it can lead to something like lichen sclerosis. Okay, so body systems and the physical body is so important, but as I said earlier, it's not one or the other, it's one and the other. So it's both physical, it's always both physical and metaphysical. You can't separate the two. Chris, can you give us a little definition of what metaphysical is, if anyone is new to the potty?
Yeah. So, well, Philly, you've just talked about the physical side of things. There's going to be body systems that aren't working the way they could or should when you have a symptom. Symptom pops up, that means body system isn't working the way it could or should. Something needs to be kickstarted or killed off, just like what Philly was saying. But then why? Why is that happening? Where did that all come from in the beginning? You know, there's some stuff that you do that can flat out be causing these physical body system stuff going on. But then why? Why do you do the things that you do? What we've found is that there is an underlying deep root cause, and this might not be the place to go into what that is for you. We've got plenty of other podcasts that address this, but there is a deep root cause, this deep accusatory, nasty, mean way you think about yourself, this I am not enough, somehow, some way, some shape or form, that controls the whole show, baby. It like makes you behave the way you behave. It drops you into a state of nervous system dysregulation. It makes you prove and defend. It freaks you out and you get stressed. You choose to have this as a survival mechanism based on when you were growing up, you just program yourself to be this way. And so it's understandable that you've got this going on, but it's your responsibility to address it and bring it up. This is the metaphysical side of things.
So if we go down that route first around beliefs, this woman was like part of the form, there's a checklist of like, are you running any of these patterns? So it's always useful first to look at patterns that can then give an indication of beliefs. So there were a lot of patterns of feeling anxious, worried, overwhelmed, stressed out, overdoing, addictive doing, rushing, hurrying, catastrophizing, victim mentality, and a few other similar type patterns. These are very common patterns that are associated with body burnout. And so you can't, every behavior has a belief underneath. So you can start asking yourself, okay, well, gosh, I'm always overdoing and I'm exhausted and I can see it's not serving me and it's making me feel worse. I really don't want to do it anymore, but I flaming well can't stop. It's almost like if I try and rest and let go of some things, that feels more unsafe. So what must you believe about yourself in order to continue running these patterns? There will be some very deep-seated identity-based beliefs underneath that. So that's one thing to think about. I'm always curious around secondary benefits as well. And there were a few things that made me think about talking about this in this podcast. So this listener's a wife of a FIFO, 1 week on, 1 week off. She feels like a burnt out mum, feels like she's single parenting a lot of the time, and she feels like she's tried it all. So my first response when I was reading that was like, yeah, great secondary benefit. Exhaustion. Cool. Like you can pull out the I'm done card. I am done with single parenting every second week. If I can't, and here's the thing, you might be thinking it, but if you can't express it and you can't create it and you can't create like help or delegate or whatever you feel you need, then the body's going to say it for you. So if you can't say it out loud that I am done and I need help, your body will say it for you. It's like it sounds a bit weird and it sounds a bit nasty, but at the end of the day, it's a very loving message from the deepest part of yourself saying, I need help. Something needs to change. My needs aren't being met in some way. And I can say this because not all FIFO parents feel like this. I know some who love having the time away from their spouse. They also love having time with their spouse, but there's also like this nice kind of cleansing period where it's like, oh, cool. Like I don't have another person that I need to match my routine with. It's actually a bit more spacious when my spouse isn't around. There's also a lot of single parents that don't feel like this either. By the way, there's a lot that do, but when you can find evidence of FIFO parents or single parents who are cruising along pretty fine, then it's like, okay, this isn't a FIFO issue. This is actually a me issue in some way. What's going on beneath the surface? I thought we'd talk about the drama triangle in this podcast as well, because the language in this case, I'm saying like language is the purest form of knowing. So even though the form that this listener filled in and that everyone fills in when they do a connect the dots, there's not a lot of questions, but there's some great little questions where it's like I actually can discover a lot about this person in the way that they respond to the questions. So the language that was used was very victim. And I say this with love. I'm not judging here. It's really just hey, there's some victim language here. And this is an issue because when someone drops down into victim, they feel like they have no power to change. They feel stuck. They feel like they are done. They've done it all. There's nothing else. And this will block you from healing every time. Do you want to talk a little bit about drama triangle and like maybe even what might be happening in this situation?
If you're listening to it, just stop and jump onto YouTube and subscribe to us, by the way. Okay, so 3 parts of a drama triangle. Obviously, it's a triangle. Try 3. So the lowest is the victim. When you are running victimness, you're writing yourself into that role. There's going to be some sort of, I am not choosing this. I can't. I have to. I need to. And you feel like you've got no ownership, no responsibility over what's happening to you. Life is happening to you when you're running this pattern. Read on Facebook, somebody had stole something from the local Woolies, and there were a bunch of people who were saying, you don't understand. They have to be like that. They need to do it like that. And I was like, victim. Didn't write anything back. But there's victim mentality in regards to beliefs. I have to do this. I've got to do this. I've got no choice. I've got to run these patterns. Victim. You're not going to break these patterns if you don't get up and out of this mentality. Don't see things a different way. Rescuers. Rescuers are, I need to take extreme ownership of this situation. I have to save you from the situation that you're in. We see a lot of martyrs, martyr type archetypes who are in this part of the drama triangle. They will give of their life. They give their life for the cause. What's the cause? Maybe it's the raising of their kids. Maybe it's the staying in the marriage. Maybe it's the education or the job or the current marketing campaign for your business, blah, 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 martyr. The archetype of the prostitute, I give of my soul and body for the pleasure of somebody else. It might not be sex. We might not be talking about that, or maybe we are, but it could be about I'm making my kids, my husband, my neighbors, my boss happy, and I'm sacrificing my soul, my ethics, and my body for their enjoyment and happiness. That's the rescuer. The aggressor is you're doing this to me. Victims blame aggressors. You know, they don't take responsibility, they project, and they outsource responsibility for what's happening to them. And we'll find, if we do a little bit of digging, if you're in one role, you're in them all. And if it's not you in the role, then there's going to be somebody playing these roles in your drama, in your story. And it's your responsibility as a human being on the planet to transcend drama. And we all love a drama. Makes good stories, makes good movies. But if you don't transcend this drama, if you don't actually start creating different outcomes for yourself, you're going to stay sick, you're going to stay tired, you're going to stay burned out. So it's your responsibility to rise up, to start creating different opportunities for yourself, different outcomes, and be a leader in your own life especially. That's how you transcend the drama triangle.
A couple of things around that. Like if I think about this situation, and not specifically this woman, we don't know her, there's missing pieces of her story, but it is a pattern for mums to feel like...
Not always.
Yeah, for some mums, a
Some,
pattern.
yeah, it's common.
To get stuck in this drama triangle, and it would look like we'll rescue her first, usually. So it's like, oh, I got to do everything for everyone else. I got to fill everyone else's cup up. I got to cook. I got to clean. I got to take the kids to school. And, you know, if they're working as well, I got to work and I got to bring some money into the family and I got to pay the bills. And the list is never ending, but it's all for others. Like, it's like I have to do this because you know, I'm the mum, I'm the wife, I'm the business owner, I'm the employee. Then this is where like you can bounce around the drama triangle and play all three roles. So then it might be resentment and it's just like, I am done with all of this. I'm exhausted. I can't be bothered anymore. It's everyone else's fault. Why does no one ever help me? And so this is the aggressor role. And victim can be like, and I am done. Like, I'm done. I'm stuck. I don't know any way out of this. And so I don't know. I think I just have to continue running these patterns. The body can also can feel like the aggressor, or you could be the aggressor towards your symptoms. So for example, it's like, now my vagina is like coming up with weird stuff and it's got an autoimmune condition and it's flaring up, or I'm exhausted and I have brain fog and I hate it. I hate it all. So that's where you can play the aggressor towards the body, even though the body and the symptoms are the best part of you that wants the best for you, desperately trying to get your attention to return back to yourself. And then you can drop into the victim of that as well, where it's just like, oh, I don't know, I've tried it all. Tried a few things, so it feels like I've tried it all and there's nothing else that I can do. I'm done. That's victim. And then to run away from your own issues, you then play out the rescue role again. It's like, oh, well, it's too hard to fix me, so I'll go and try and fix everyone else and make sure everyone else is happy. Yeah, so that's how the drama triangle plays out. And transcend it. Well, to finish off this episode, to finish off this episode, it's interesting. So when someone joins, we've got a free Facebook group to help people end their body burnout. And when people join the group, I personally send everyone a message to say, hi, welcome, love you being here, thank you. And I also offer a Connect the Dots episode. So it's like, and if you would like us to review your case, would love to do so, just fill in this form. So this lady put her hand up, and not a lot of people do put their hand up to have their case reviewed on the podcast. So it's a pretty big thing, requires a bit of time to fill in the form. This is a little example of actually transcending from the drama, where it's like, okay, like her language in the form was, I've tried it all. I don't know if I have the energy to try anything else. But the very fact that she stepped out of that and took the time to fill in the form means that there is a part of her and you that is open to looking for answers. There's still a little fire burning inside saying, actually, you know what? I am not done. And I feel horrible. And there must be a way out of this. So you know what? I'm going to give this a go and see what happens. The end. Okay, so hopefully this helped to gain a different perspective on exhaustion, low motivation, vaginal issues, autoimmunity. As I said at the start of the podcast, if you would like your own case anonymously reviewed on a Connect the Dots episode like we did today, just jump down to the show notes and you can click on the link and fill in the form. And also, if you'd personally like us to guide you through our holistic root cause approach, you can either start with a Connect the Dots initial consult. So the link is in the show notes. My calendar is open. I've got a few spots available. Or you can pop your name down on the wait list for our Ending Body Burnout method, which is where we take you through the whole process. And the doors do open again in May, which is super exciting.
Thank you so much, everybody, for jumping on to our podcast today, and hopefully we get to chat to you real soon. Take good care. Have the best day ever. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.